Shalom. All praises, glory, honor, and fear. Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Baha, Rakakadash. Much love, strength, and blessings be bestowed upon the Lord's election, the house of David. And I want to go into this chapter. I really want to highlight and go into it, the bell and the dragon. And this is in the Apocrypha, and this story is basically going into how everyone was worshiping this false god, was worshiping this idol. It was idol worship, and like this idol was making it seem to everybody, even the king, that it was a living power, but it wasn't. And that's the same thing that we have taking place now. There's the whole world is given to idolatry and worshiping that they know not. They don't know what they worship. They're worshiping something that cannot save, something that is not real. They're worshiping a false god. Even guys worshiping a false Christ. Lord said that many false anointings would rise and deceive many. So this is exactly what we're seeing. But those of us that are actually worshiping and only bowing down to the living power, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we're the ones that can see and realize who really is the power. And it's not everybody. The Lord, this is how he has it. He has it so that only a few is really worshiping him, while everyone else is worshiping devils and sacrificing to devils. And their mind is so deceived and blinded, their heart is so blinded that they think that it's God, but it's not. It's not the power, the true power, the true and living power. And Moses, when he got the first covenant, it was something physical, and it was written on those stony tablets, right? But the second covenant was Yahweh Shai. The Word was made flesh, and he came down. He came down from heaven. You see? When Moses got the first one, Israel had made themselves naked, and they were worshiping the calf, that idol that they had made. And they said, oh, the calf delivered us from Egypt, all this blah, 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 all that wickedness. And there was a judgment for that. So the first stony tablets that Moses got, they were broken. You see? And the second ones that he got were preserved in the Ark of the Covenant. And that's symbolic of the second covenant. The first was broken, and the second was put into the Ark, and now it is hidden, and only the Lord knows exactly where it is. It goes into it in Maccabees how Jeremiah the prophet, he had taken the ark and he hid it in a cave in a mountain, which no man knew where. You see, and that's all symbolic of the hidden manna of Yahweh Shai, the new heart of flesh in us. Now the word, right, the commandments, the new commandments, now they are living and breathing within us. And neither shall they say, lo here, lo there, for behold, the kingdom of heaven is within you. The power is within us, spiritual power. And guys' minds are so darkened, that their heart is so darkened that they'll never expect it to be somewhere where they hate, which is within us. You see how heavy that is? Exodus 34 and verse 27, and Yahweh said unto Moses, write thou these words, for after the tenor of these words I have made a covenant with thee and with Israel. And he was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights. He did neither eat bread nor drink water. And he wrote upon the tables the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. That's heavy, the words of the covenant. And the second covenant, which we're in already right now in these bodies, is a better and more fulfilling and perfect covenant, an everlasting covenant, which the Heavenly Father made with his Son and through his Son that is eternal. When you go to Hebrews, it goes into how if the first was perfect, then there wouldn't have been need for a second. You see? So the second comes after the first. So it came last. So Lord, He's saving the best for last. And that's why He sent us as a report to death, because they hate, just as they hated, Moses in the camp and Aaron his saint. Like a lot of our people, even the famous in the congregation, Korah, Dathan, Abraham, they put on our front like they were of the Lord, but really they hated the Lord. They hated the commandments. And then you fast forward to Herod, the Herodians and Esau, and them infiltrating the temple with the Jews, with our people. What happened was they were acting like they was all about the law, but really they weren't. They were just using it for their own gain, for their own purposes, to make money, for charity, for tithes, robbing the poor, taking advantage of the widows, the fatherless. This is what they were doing. They were murdering and robbing. They've made it into a den of thieves. So what's happening now is the Lord, He's gathering the tares, just like Elijah and the prophets. They gather all the prophets of Baal all into one fucking place, and they got put to death. So that's what's happening now as well through the Spirit. Everything's being put into its place. Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 7, then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book, it is written of me to do thy will, O God. See, Yahushai. And those of us that are in Yahushai, we're also a part of the everlasting, the book of life. And I'm gonna get into this chapter, Bel and the Dragon, but I just want to bring this out first. Hebrews 10:8. Above when he said, sacrifice and offering and burnt offerings and offering for sin thou wouldest not, neither hast pleasure therein, which are offered by the law. Right? So the Lord doesn't have pleasure in the things of the law, the works of the law, the deeds, the actions of the law. The Lord doesn't have any pleasure in them. That's why the Lord talked about, He said to take away your feast, take away your moon, your new moons, take away your Sabbaths. He cannot away with it. It's an abomination because you're keeping them, right, while denying Yahushai. So it's backwards. It's not progressive. It's degressive. It's negative. You see. The law, right, the commandments were the schoolmaster. That was our school, but now we're no longer we're free. Now that we're in Yahushua in the new covenant. It says, then said he, lo, I come to do thy will, O power. He taketh away the first, that he may establish the second. So we're establishing true justice and discernment in the gate, which the gates are the openings where people open to enter in or to keep things out. And that's what we're doing. We're allowing certain things in, but we're keeping a lot of things out. The Roman Catholic Church, doctrines of devils, heresies, cunningly devised fables, myths, that ain't entering in to the straight gate. And you can say love, love, love all day, but if you don't have the love in your heart and the real actions, then all you're saying, you're just, your words mean nothing. Your words hold no weight. You see. So, Satan is a deceiver. The devil means deceiver. So they're not going to tell you the truth. They're going to tell you a lie and make it seem like they're true, but they're really lying. Oh, I love you. I would never do this to you. Look what Judas Iscariot did to Yahushua. He betrayed him with a kiss. A kiss is something you're supposed to give someone for endearment, and you love them. And you wouldn't do that to someone you love. So it's very heavy what's happening right now. Matter of fact, talking about that, let me bring this out. Luke 22:3. Then entered Satan into Judas, surnamed Iscariot, being of the number of the 12. So he was a part of the disciples. He was following Yahushua all the way up until the end. And at the end, What entered into him was Satan, not the new heart of flesh. What entered into him was Satan, because he was none of his. And that's what we see happen now too in the end of all this, is that Satan is entering into certain guys that were even once amongst us. That's how heavy this thing is. So Lord, he's taken away the first to establish the second. So the second is established, and that's what we're bringing to the gate. Amos 5:15, hate the evil and love the good, and establish judgment in the gate. It may be that Yahweh, power of hosts, will be gracious unto the remnant of Joseph, right? And it's heavy how it says remnant of Joseph, because Joseph was denied and hated and sold into slavery. They were plotting to take his life and murder him because he was so beloved of the Lord, and not only the Lord, but also their father Jacob loved Joseph, and he gave him a beautiful coat, because he was his youngest son, the youngest. The babes, see the elders, guys that are old, guys that are, you can't tell them nothing, they're proud. They don't have that pure innocent spirit, of faith, belief, humbleness, meekness. As a child, they hate the babes that actually have the wisdom of the Lord. It says, Psalms 99:4, the king's strength also loveth judgment. Thou dost establish equity. Thou executest judgment and righteousness in Jacob. So, Lord, he's using us as a tool to do these things. He's raising us up in these last days to speak the words of judgment, to discern, which a lot of guys have omitted. Even guys that are once amongst us, they've become lukewarm, and they've become an abomination because they're totally unbalanced. They think it's just love, love, love. No, there's fucking hate, man. And they ain't hating the evil. They're partakers of the evil. If what you're saying is a yes or no, or something straight to the point, then it's evil. If you're confused and you're double-minded, that's doubt. You're damned if you're double-minded. You're unstable in all your ways. So you're not stable, and you're not. What's the scripture talk about? Where to establish the people's feet and where they need to be standing and where they need to be walking, which is on Yahushua, on the chief cornerstone, and following the Lamb. 2 Timothy 3 and verse 5, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. Right? Guys deny the spiritual power. They say they need a new body, or when they get it, they deny it, that it's already here. It says, from such turn away. So we're turning away from this world, and a lot of guys, it just so happens that they're a part of the world, so they're being turned away from as well, because they're speaking things of the world, not of the Lord, in his righteousness, in his ways. So just as the first covenant came unto our people, the second covenant already came as well, which was Yahushua when he was born. You see? And when he gave up the spirit, when he gave up the ghost, he died, right? He did die on the cross. He said, it is finished. He said, receive my soul, O Lord. And that's what happened. He said, it is finished. So it wasn't, the Lord didn't come and leave things undone or half-ass, or, oh, it's only 50%. Once I come back, in the chariots, then it's going to be 100%. No. Now the only thing that Yahushua is doing now is just sitting at the right hand of the Father until the enemies be made his footstool. Everything is being played out. Everything is going in motion as it's supposed to be. But not even Yahushua knows a day or hour when he's coming back. Only the Heavenly Father. So guys, even saying that he was coming back in 2000, that's a big red flag. They're false prophets. No in between. The scripture talks about that in Deuteronomy. See, the law is not done away with. It's fulfilled in Yahushua. So those are us that have the complete full spectrum of Yahushua, it's also fully in us. So we understand judgment. We understand the law. You see? That's what happens when you put the Lord first. When you put the love of the brethren secondly. You fulfill the law. And in the law it says if a prophet says something and doesn't come to pass, then that prophet had prophesied falsely. He testified falsely. And he shall surely be put to death because he's spoken a lie in the name of the Lord. It's heavy, man. It's heavy. So the Lord, he also came down, just as those tables with the word came down from the mountain by Moses, the Lord's servant. John 6 and verse 38. It says, for I came down from heaven. You see, just as them tablets at first covenant came down from the mountain. It says, not to do mine own will, but the will of him that sent me. And this is the Father's will which hath sent me, that of all which he hath given me I should lose nothing, but should raise it up again at the last day. So we're being raised up with the Lord. Isaiah 26 and 19, thy dead men, right, because we're dead to this world. We're exed out, we're crucified with Yahushua, with the Lamb. We're partaker of that cup. The Lord said, you will surely drink of this cup. But to sit at my right and on my left is not mine, but it's the Father's. It's not even Yahushua's choice who sits next to him. That's heavy. Thy dead men shall live. Together with my dead body shall they arise. Awake and sing, ye that dwell in dust. For thy dew is as the dew of herbs, and the earth shall cast out the dead. Come, my people, right? A lot of guys aren't a part of the people of the Lord. Enter, right? Don't stay outside on the highways and on the streets like a fucking prostitute. Enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment until the indignation be overpassed. That's heavy. This is the Passover. And guys that don't really have Yahushua covering them, that his sacrifice doesn't cover them, his sacrifice, him dying for your sins wasn't enough for you, you're not going to make it in this time. So the Lord said, hide yourself. It was for a little moment. Guys can't even hide themselves for a little moment. They have to be seen. They have to put their face in the camera. You see? So they're out there. They speak of the world, therefore the world hears them and sees them. The world don't see us. You know, the world gets a sight at us and they put their head down and they shake their head and they say, oh, because it goes into Wisdom of Solomon how even the countenance of the wise, the wicked hate it. They can't stand it. They can't even deal with even looking on us that we're in our power. Matter of fact, let me see if I can pull that. Yeah, he says, and just as Yahushua is written in Isaiah, how, he had no form nor comeliness that anyone would desire him. He was bruised and chastised above anyone else. So, it's not about looking good. It's all about the heart inside being pure. The outside is going to perish. Outside is going to be destroyed. You see? But what's eternal, what the Lord said, he said, heaven and earth shall pass away, but what's going to remain forever is his word. The word's going to remain the same. The law is going to be remaining the same. A lot of you guys are adding and subtracting from the word. And you think in your mind, your deceived mind, your dark mind, that you're going to get away with it. You're not going to get away with it. Nahum 1 and 3 talks about how the Lord will not at all acquit the wicked. That means let you go free. It's heavy. Wisdom of Solomon 2 in verse 13, because we're professing, right? Our profession is that we're soldiers, we're warriors for the Lord. We're servants of the Lord. That's our true duty as a man. A lot of you guys are like the other ones that were saying, what were they saying? It was like, oh, I'm a potter, I'm a this, I'm a smith, I'm a this. They didn't even know what they was doing out there. Like, you're going to war, you're a soldier, all that stuff from the past and the world, that doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter anymore. That's in the past. That's history. Wisdom of Solomon 2:13. He professeth to have the knowledge of power, and he calleth himself the child of the Lord. And it's remember, man, when Yahushua was in the midst of all them evil, wicked ass Pharisees and elders and so on. Once he said that he is the he is the Messiah, and he was saying, he's gonna be sitting on the right hand of the Father. They couldn't take it. They couldn't stand it. They ripped their garments and they accused him of blasphemy, man. It's crazy. So the wicked, they call good evil and evil good. They're so fucking upside down and confused. And this is what we're up against. We're up against complete and absolute evil, wickedness, and sin and death. Wisdom of Solomon 2:14. He was made to reprove our thoughts. You see, so we're reproving guys' thoughts. We're reproving you guys' mind, your thoughts of the old stony heart. We're reproving all that because you haven't changed your mind. You haven't changed your heart. With your mouth, you show much love, but your heart is far from the Lord. And we know that because our heart is one with the Lord. So we see who else's heart is one with the Lord, and we see whose heart has changed for the worse. Because a changing of the heart, it says in Sirach how when the countenance is changed, it's a change of a heart, whether for good or bad. Wisdom of Solomon 2:15. Here's the point right here. It says, he is grievous unto us even to behold, right? For his life is not like other men's. His ways are of another fashion. So the fashion of this world is passing away. But those of us that have another fashion, we're different. We don't rock like with everybody else. We're of another we're on a whole different path. Our life is on a whole different meaning than these guys that are worshiping idols and following false brethren and false anointeds that don't have the spirit, that don't have the love. And remember, man, our people, instead of releasing Yahushua, which did nothing, he was innocent, okay? They cried out saying, crucify Yahushua, but let go of the murderer and the thief. So, it shows you how evil and bad our people are, man, and how blind, how gross darkness the people really is. Really a gross darkness. But all these things happened so the scriptures will be fulfilled. So everything's being fulfilled, and the Father's will is being done on earth through only the few that are capable of bearing their cross daily and really hating their life unto death. That's the only way you're going to overcome all the evil. That is what is good. Bel and the Dragon 1 and verse 3. Now the Babylonians had an idol called Bel, and there was spent upon him every day 12 great measures of fine flour, and 40 sheep, and 6 vessels of wine. We're talking a lot of goods, right? But understand this is that this is an idol, okay? And people were profiting off of it. So all this stuff that they thought the people were so deceived and worshiping this idol, it was being given to the people behind the scenes that knew that it wasn't a real God. It was just for them. They just took it for themselves. They ripped off the people. You see? And the king worshipped it and went daily to adore it. But Daniel worshipped his own God. And the king said unto him, why dost not thou worship Bel? Who answered and said, because I may not worship idols made with hands, but the living God who hath created the heaven and earth and have sovereignty over all flesh. Now that's heavy because it says, may not worship idols made with hands. Now let's name a couple of the few idols made with hands. The false image of the false Christ, that Jesus with long hair and Edomite's pale and blue eyes, yeah. And then what's the next one? You got Queen of Heaven worship, Mary. That's another big one. See? And what are we doing when you go into the law? When we were going through lands and at war, one of the Lord's commandments was to destroy all the idols of the enemies. Fucking destroy them. Don't take it and sell it and make money. No, fucking destroy it. Burn it to fire. Fucking break it down, so it will never rise again. You know what I'm saying? It's heavy. So another thing, the story of Akan, he took the accursed thing into his tent, and because of him taking that accursed thing and coveting it, right, that idol, that accursed object, he got himself and his whole freaking tent, his whole family killed. So this is not a light thing, man. When you're taking the voice and the words of the Lord lightly, it's heavy, man. So a lot of you guys are without an excuse, because the word was preached unto you. The word was reproved to you. It was you know what I'm saying? It was sent to you, but you understood it not, but you despised it. While a place of repentance will open unto you, you despised it. The same must know it after death by pain. So guys are gonna have a painful death, you see. Not for righteousness, not for suffering for righteousness, but suffering for wickedness. For taking of the accursed thing, for perverting the gospel, for adding and detracting from the Lord's message. Bel and the Dragon 1 and 6. Then said the king unto him, Thinkest thou not that Bel is a living God? Seest thou not how much he eateth and drinketh every day? You see, that thing wasn't eaten, man. Who was eating was the people behind that cunningly devised fable. Same thing now that we're up against. Then Daniel smiled. You see that? He knew, man. It says, and it's just like we know. It says, and then Daniel smiled and said, O king, be not deceived. Be not deceived, for this is but clay within and brass without, and did never eat or drink anything. So the king was wroth and called for his priests, and said unto them, If they tell me not who this is that devoureth these expenses, ye shall die. You see that? So once the truth comes out about people's lies and people making merchandise of the people and robbing people and doing these kind of things is heavy, is serious. The truth comes out. But if ye can certify me that Bel devoureth them, then Daniel shall die. For he that spoken blasphemy against Bel. And Daniel said unto the king, Let it be according to thy word. You see, so Daniel already knew. He had the confidence. He had God. He had the power, spiritual power, to know what was going on. Simple as that. You see? And the same thing will happen now. So, like, judgment was set. So it's like either you guys on that side, you're right, or the other one on this side, he's gonna be right. So someone's right and someone's wrong. The same thing's happening now. And those of us that actually have the right understanding of Yahushai, you can see the force of righteousness and the force of the Spirit behind it, pushing us and motivating us and giving us all the tools and things we need to consume the wicked, to expose the workers of darkness, and to uplift the living true power. It says, for he has, verse 10, now the priests of Bel were 70, beside their wives and children, and the king went with Daniel into the temple of Bel. So it's the good is always going to be outnumbered from the wicked and the liars and shit. Same thing now. So Bel's priest said, Lo, we go out, but thou, O king, set on the meat and make ready the wine, and shut the door fast and seal it with thine own signet. And tomorrow when thou comest in, if thou findest not that Bel hath eaten up all, we will suffer death, or else Daniel that speaketh falsely against us. You see, there were Daniel was not speaking falsely against them. He was telling them the truth. The king asked Daniel, why don't you worship Bel? He told him the truth. I'm not going to worship an idol. That's an idol. I worship the real power, okay? I know it's heavy. And they little regarded it, for under the table they had made a privy entrance, whereby they entered in continually and consumed those things. Ain't that something? They fucking ate all the food. Fucking fat asses, carnally minded. And it's heavy, there was a privy entrance. So you got guys, they think in their messed up mind that they're going to have a privy entrance to the kingdom. The Lord said, if you don't enter in through the door, which Yahushua has that door, then you are a thief and a robber. And you know that no thief and robber, murderer has no eternal life in them. So you guys have an expiration date that are not dealing truthfully with the Lord. You know? And man, the power is with us, man. It's working mightily upon us. The few of us. So when they were gone forth, the king set meats before Bel. Now Daniel had commanded his servants to bring ashes, and those they strewed throughout all the temple in the presence of the king alone. Then went they out and shut the door and sealed it with the king's signet, and so departed. You see, Daniel was one step ahead of them. He put ashes all over the floor so that, you know, he could show all the footprints once they, you know, do what they do in the dark, thinking that no one's going to find out. Now in the night came the priests with their wives and children, as they were wont to do, did eat and drink up all. In the morning bedtime, the king arose, and Daniel with him. The king said, Daniel, are the seals whole? And he said, Yea, O king, they be whole. And as soon as he opened the door, the king looked upon the table and cried with a loud voice, Great art thou, O Bel, and with thee is no deceit at all. And it's funny because it's just so, this guy as a king, right? As a king, you're supposed to have discernment. You're supposed to have some wisdom, like you're a king. This guy, like, he just, first glance, at first sight, he just starts worshiping. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they were blindly worshiping. Just like guys now, they're blindly worshiping false gods. They're following after strange gods of the heathen, of the world. Then laughed Daniel. Whoo! The Lord said, my servant shall eat and laugh and drink. And that's what we're doing. We're laughing, we're drinking, we're in the spirit, we're eating and drinking, and whatever we're doing, it's all unto the Lord, man. It's beautiful. It says, then laughed Daniel and held the king that he should not go in, and said, Behold now the pavement, and mark well whose footsteps are these. Right? That is your evidence. Like they say, like investigators, that's criminal, what's that word? Oh man. Basically like evidence, man. Like with lawyers and stuff like that, you know, courts and shit. I forget the word, but it says, and the king said, I see the footsteps of men, women, and children. And then the king was angry, and took the priests with their wives and children, who showed him the privy doors, where they came in, and consumed such things as were upon the table. So the truth is gonna come out, man. You can't hide the truth, man. The truth is strong. Like the truth is like, it's heavy, man. They owned up to it. Like, even the women and children, like, you know what I'm saying? It was just like, yeah, like, it's what happened. Like, it's heavy. Therefore the king slew them and delivered Bel into Daniel's power, who destroyed him and his temple. Woo! Beautiful. Heavy, man. Heavy. And what I'll do is I'll probably do another part 2 with Bel and the Dragon from verse 23 and down. Yeah. So we'll do a part 2 of that. 2 Corinthians 3 and 3. For as much as ye are manifestly declared to be the epistle of Yahushai, ministered by us, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not in the tables of stone, but in the fleshly tables of the heart, right? And we are the third temple. And this is where the true sacrifice is being accepted to the Lord, and where the true worship is being worshipped to Yahweh and Yahushai. And with that, shalom.